All right. Welcome to episode 3 of PTBO Connect. Today we are joined by Steve Thexton, the former zoo manager. Is that correct, Steve?
Zoo supervisor.
Zoo supervisor. And now he owns a company called Zoo Consultation and travels around North America transporting animals to where they need to go zoo to zoo. Steve, thanks for coming on the show today.
No problem, Rob.
So I'm going to jump right into it. You supervised the zoo for how long, caring for the animals?
I worked at the zoo for 31 years. The last 7 years, I was the park and zoo supervisor. So basically managed the animal collection and the staff.
Right on. And we're, of course, talking about Peterborough Zoo.
That's right, Riverview Park and Zoo.
Local only around here. And so, I mean, we've all been there. It's an amazing zoo. It's amazing that it's free. I actually live right up the road from it, and it's a great place to go for a nice little walk on a Saturday afternoon. What was your favorite part about working there? I mean, obviously, it's going to be something to do with the animals, but what's the part you miss the most?
The animals.
Yeah. Not the people.
not the two-legged animals, the four-legged animals.
Exactly. No, I completely understand that. I know a few people that work there now, and it sounds like a great place to be. You get to deal with some pretty interesting animals and some cool things. So you left the zoo a couple years ago now?
Yeah, November 2019, and with the thoughts, I retired.
Yep.
With the thoughts of starting ZooCon, which is not just an animal transportation business, but I'm also going to hopefully start selling tranquilizing equipment to accredited zoos for use there.
Right on. And of course, just like every guest we've had on so far, of course, the pandemic played a big role in that. You kind of walked into your own thing and started up your business just as the pandemic hit.
I most certainly did, and it showed.
Yeah, right on. And that's how we ended up meeting. So Steve came to drive for us at Y Drive to pass the time, keep things going, and it was a great position for him because you can take off and do what you got to do when you have to do it. And actually, Eric is joining us for the first time because this is a topic that she gets excited about. I know she's reserved a spot in your van the next time you transport an animal. I think so far you've done snow leopards and wolves. Is that correct?
Snow leopards, wolves, capybaras, a bunch of various reptiles.
Right on.
Yeah.
So what's the next step in this business? Is it just you wait for the zoos to call you to say something has to be moved?
Yeah, basically that's the way it works. Most of this stuff is all part of a species survival plan. So basically it's match.com for zoo animals.
Right on. So it's like U-ship, but for things that are still breathing.
That's right.
Perfect. So yeah, I know we were lucky enough to see some photos and see some stories when you were transporting the last couple runs you did, and it's pretty interesting. It sounds simple. Get a van, put an animal in it, drive it to where it needs to go, but of course you're dealing with things that could be endangered, could be high risk, could even be dangerous to yourself if they were to wake up or become aggravated during the trip.
Yep, that's for sure. The most interesting one was the snow leopard to Michigan, and there was a lot of logistics that went into that transport because of customs and U.S. Fish and Wildlife inspections and USDA inspections.
I think
nobody has a clue.
You were telling us a story, I think, and don't worry, there's things that you might not want to get out there, but there's only 2 people that listen to this podcast, so there's not much risk there. But I'm one of them too. But I think you were saying something about when you were crossing the border last time, they wanted to wake them up or take them out of the cage or something like that.
Oh, the customs guys, just the guys at the regular customs port, right, or place where you drive through. Oh, they all wanted to look at the leopards, so I'm like, nothing to see really, guys.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Can't take them out and walk it around or anything.
Yeah, you wouldn't let me pet them.
No.
Yeah, Erica's tried. She keeps trying to go for the trips.
Yeah, those, usually you barely see them. There's a little piece of burlap that you can stick a flashlight in. They're pretty well contained in there, and they're kept dark for a reason. It just calms them down, right? It's like putting your kid to bed.
Well, and Erica, I didn't hear this story from you. Erica was mentioning that during one of the recent trips, you might not have been able to see them, but you could smell them.
Oh, God, yeah.
She said she wasn't jealous that your wife got to go on that one.
No, my wife, I'm surprised she'll ever go again, but she does. We got kind of pulled, actually, my wife got kind of pulled over for speeding going through northeastern Quebec, and
was this the wolves or?
No, these were otters
that
I had in the vehicle, and we had our Jeep, so it wasn't like they were in the back of a van where the smell was kind of masked. It was like full blown in your face. And the cop comes up to the car and instantly backs away when Joanne rolled down the window. And next, his buddy comes up and he's standing behind. Joanne was driving, and this other cop standing on the side of the road behind me, sort of. And they're chatting back and forth in French, and we have no idea what's going on. And I'm showing them permits, and finally, thank God the permits were bilingual. Because they realized what it was, and what the smell they were actually smelling was poop.
Yeah. No, I could imagine you did something wrong. They tried to impound that vehicle there.
Yeah. So anyway, they said drive safe in their broken English, and off they went. So and off we went.
That's awesome. So we've actually been able to watch each other's businesses grow. You started yours right before joining our team, and then you've been with us since day one as well. So you've got to watch Y Drive grow over the last year and a couple months, and we've got to see you go on your adventure and transport these animals and kind of live your second life after retirement.
Yep.
As a business owner, you went from working for the zoo, but also running things near the end, to becoming a business owner. What's the change been like? We've talked a lot in the podcast. I know. I don't think you've listened to the first two.
I listened to part of the first one. And
okay. All right. So Susan's, that's the best one.
We got 3 listeners. Let's go.
Yeah. Brian's wasn't great. Listen to Susan. Listen to Susan's if you're going to listen to any. But that's one thing we would like to talk about is a lot of people get into business with the expectation of this is going to be great. I know what I can charge. I know what my market is. They forget about the back end. They forget about, like, I know you've had to deal with securing vehicles and reservations. And has it been enjoyable? Have you been learning a lot of the business side of things over the last year?
The biggest pain is, invoicing and writing quotes in the beginning when they first want to do a shipment, and like you say, securing a rental vehicle because we're not big enough right now that we own our own van. It's just not cost effective. And
if you got that van for ZooCon,
yeah,
then when people call us and ask if we can move their couches and their armoires and their grandmother's apartment, thanks. You could do those.
No thanks.
Come on, Steve.
So funny enough, that's been Erica's experience over the last year as well. Erica does a lot of the back end stuff. She manages the day-to-day, so a lot of the invoicing of corporate clients and taxes and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's very quick that business owners realize you kind of get a month where it's fun right out the gate, and then you start to realize that there's twice as much work as you kind of expected. Transporting the animals or transporting the clients, not to compare our clients to the animals you transport, but transporting them is half the job. Then you have the business to run on the other side. Right. And are you doing it alone? Does your wife have experience?
She helps me a little bit. She was a district manager for a jean store for years and years and years, so she knows all about sort of the backside. And I had to do a fair bit of that at the zoo too, especially in the latter years when I was the supervisor.
Yeah, so organization and keeping things in order. Perfect. So now we'll jump back, and I don't want to use this podcast as promotion for Y Drive, but obviously you've been doing both jobs for the past almost a year and a half now. And I kind of alluded to the joke there, but you transport animals half the time and you transport people the other half of the time. Not to pick on our clients, but which one do you prefer?
Y Drive.
Throw you on the spot.
Well, they both have pros and they both have cons. The nice thing about Y Drive is everything is local. I'm not having to drive for 14 hours one way. Because we don't stop for the animals.
Nobody's gone to the washroom in your car yet?
Nope.
No. We have had it happen once in actually Erica's car.
Well, that's a good place to have it
but not in Steve's.
Not in mine. Not yet. Nobody's barfed,
which
is also a good thing.
I couldn't believe it. Erica called me, and obviously we're not going to go into details, or we're not calling anyone out specifically. But she called me, and she's like, "I'm pretty sure somebody just crapped their pants in my vehicle." And I was like, "There's no way. Like, it has to be residual smell. Put your windows down; it'll clear itself out." No, that car went in for a full detail. It was not pleasant. But yeah, it was an experience for sure.
Those weren't the words I used.
No, yeah, we have to make sure we can still put this on Spotify and YouTube. So no, that's interesting. So I kind of asked it earlier, but what's the next step for you? Like, obviously, you're kind of sitting back waiting for these contracts to come to you right now. Is this something where you're hoping just to do 3, 4, 6, 10 transportations a year, and that's your retirement, or is this a business you hope to grow into something much bigger?
I don't think I'll ever grow it into something much bigger. I'm kind of too picky as to what I'm going to transport, just because of logistics and the lack of staff. Being just Joanne and I, we're not about to transport a herd of camels to British Columbia or anything anytime soon. So
that would be so cool, though.
Well, they could walk in a caravan, right? And they could just. We'll be there 3 months from Sunday.
That's a convoy.
That's right.
And those are illegal in Canada.
But actually, a line of camels is called a caravan.
I feel like, so you already almost got in trouble in Quebec.
Yeah, almost.
So,
well, Joanne did.
So you got to be careful. And for my trucking days out west, it is illegal to run a convoy. And as much as you want to call it a caravan, because that's the definition for camels, I feel like you will get in some trouble for that. So it made me think there. You've transported some interesting animals at a cool experience. I know Erica's talked a lot more to you about that. What is something you want to transport? Maybe might not get the chance over time, but what's something you would love to get the phone call that, hey, this needs to get moved?
Well, I don't know whether I can top a snow leopard as far as...
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's like sort of, a tiger perhaps, which are also critically endangered.
Yep. And that would be like Toronto has tigers, right?
Yep.
Yep. So they are around.
There's lots of zoos. All the major zoos in Canada all have tigers.
I don't know if you have this number off the top of your head. How many zoos are there? Like it blows my mind that we only have African lion, Toronto, and then us. Is there other ones in our near area?
Well, there's Cat World that I don't believe they're accredited right now. Accredited zoos in Ontario: African Lion Safari, Ripley's Aquarium.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
Right. Yep.
Safari Niagara down in Niagara Falls.
Because all the marine lands and stuff closed down, right?
No, marine land is still open, but they're just not accredited, and that's another whole can of worms that we
so
don't.
Is that like a Tiger King type situation where they get away with it till they don't?
Sort of, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Without incriminating myself.
we could bleep stuff out.
Marine land is about as happy about the whole situation as I'm sure the Tiger King is about his situation. So,
well, and I think social media has played a big part in it, and I'm sure there's some, just like there's with everything in social media, I'm sure there's stuff that is blown out of proportion, but there's also some reality to the stuff that I think my generation was the first generation to start seeing this, that it's not all happy. It's like I went to West Edmonton Mall last week. I was in Edmonton. My brother had never been there, so I took him to West Edmonton Mall. And it wasn't the same as when I was there 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I was like, this is amazing. And we watched the Otter show, and they have all these shows going on inside the mall.
Yep.
And I went back this time, and I was like, these things are living in a mall. Like, what kind of life is that for an animal? And it made me realize that there is a lot of truth to what we read online, that there are good zoos and there are bad zoos, to summarize it.
Yeah, there certainly are. There's lots of roadside zoos that, unless you're driving right by their door, then you wouldn't even know they exist. They do very little advertising, but somehow miraculously their parking lots are full every weekend, and the animals are probably, those zoos certainly don't live up to the standards that the accredited zoos in Canada live up to, because it's just unbelievable amount of paperwork and preparation for an accreditation.
So that's the interesting part. So whether you're talking Toronto Zoo, you're talking the roadside stuff, African Lion Safari, I've been to them all. They all cost big bucks to get into.
Yep, absolutely.
And they're amazing facilities. They, as far as I know, take care of their animals well, except for the roadside ones, potentially. Peterborough doesn't charge you to go in. Where does the money come from? How are they funded to employ people like you? Because I imagine with your qualifications, and we'll get to that in a second, I mean, you've probably made a fair income, and so do the other people that work there. Where does that money come from?
It's paid for through Peterborough Utilities, so a percentage of the water revenue goes towards funding the zoo.
Okay,
and
that's awesome. Like
and it's been like that forever. Like the first animals came to the zoo in Peterborough in 1935. It was a pair of alligators that were donated to the superintendent of the water treatment plant at a conference in Florida.
Do they still have alligators there?
We have crocodiles now. Or they have crocodiles now.
Yeah, awesome.
I still say we.
That's the most Florida thing I've ever heard. Just donating some alligators to somebody you met at a conference.
Yeah, exactly, right? they definitely did it as a joke, right? Yeah. Thinking, number one, he wasn't going to take them. Well, he did.
Yeah.
And that's what. And if he hadn't have, there would probably never have been a zoo in Peterborough, and certainly not a free zoo.
Yeah, no, and that's such a cool. Obviously, there's the train, and that's why I asked the question. I had an idea because you and I have talked about it before. But I think a lot of people assume that the funding comes from the train, and they forget that there's salaries, there's food, there's everything else that goes into it. I'm sure the train makes a few dollars and maintains itself and stuff like that.
The train basically just maintains itself, and they're looking for they're doing a fundraiser for a new train right now as we speak. So
with our other business that I mentioned on the podcast before, we manufacture and sell heavy equipment, and one of our clients, I'm not going to name them because obviously I'm talking about how much they made off that deal. But one of our clients did the track rehabilitation a couple years ago. And yeah, you're not making money off the train when you start bringing in excavation companies to redo. How long? Do you know how long it is? It's got to be 1 kilometer long.
I think it's just over 1 mile long.
Okay.
I believe, because it goes over to the other side of the river and around and does a loop through the woods and back on its same path again. So I think it's 1 mile.
How long has it been there for? Has it been there for quite a while?
I want to say early 70s.
Okay, so yeah, we're coming up on 45 years.
Yep.
Oh,
and that's I believe the original engine, and it
really
needs to be replaced. Like we've replaced the actual engine,
but a whole new train to go on the tracks.
But a whole new train, including cars and everything, and it's.
But it's 2021, so somebody's going to talk them into going electric or something silly.
Well, and they are out there, which is better than using gas, in my opinion. So.
Yep. Well, they've got that train that goes to Lansdowne Place every once in a while and just kind of goes through the mall and back down through. And
is it electric?
It's got to be. Yeah, there's no way they're running an engine
I guess
in there.
that's true. Yeah.
But no, that's pretty cool. So yeah, other zoos. I'll be honest. It's such a cool topic. I didn't prepare a bunch of questions for you, but traveling around, obviously you have an interest in not only zoo animals but animals as a whole. Where are your favorite places to go?
San Diego?
Yeah.
Yep. Love San Diego. Yeah. San Diego Zoo, San Diego Wild Animal Park. I love the city of San Diego. It's really nice. Well, 72 degrees all year round, basically.
Are they that different? Like if you go, so like I'm a 300-pound man that loves to eat. So my dream is one day I can, sorry, our producer's laughing in the background. One day my dream is to grab an RV and travel around and visit different like smoked meat places and stuff like that to travel around and eat and try and see different areas. If you go to 2 or 3 big zoos, have you pretty much seen it all, or is there? If you're in a city you've never been in before, should you go to that zoo?
I always do.
Yeah,
or we try to. Yep. It's just seeing an animal that a species I've never seen before. Right?
Is there anything you haven't seen yet that you really want to?
Giant pandas are underrated or overrated.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. They
went from a compliment to throwing shots right there.
I saw them in Toronto a couple years ago.
They sleep.
Yeah.
Exactly. They sleep.
The one I missed out on was polar bears. I really wanted to see polar bears.
Well, Toronto's got
they still
5 or 6 of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought they had left it for some reason. I thought that
they did a big reno on their exhibit. Like now they have grass to wander around and all kinds of different like waterfalls and stuff. That's like way better than it was initially.
I actually slept in the Toronto Zoo. Legally, I didn't just hide out and not leave. I went to a camp when I was I would have been 14 maybe.
Oh, the safari camp?
Yeah, and they take you and you sleep in like a barrack-style tent. And so there was like this lion there named Rocky, and if you yelled out, because he, I guess, was raised in someone's garage till he was found and taken into the zoo. So he responded to his name. And if you yelled out his name at night, he'd actually occasionally roar back at you. And it was a really cool experience. Yeah, it was really neat. I mean, I was 14, so I didn't appreciate. I think stuff like that, you should be allowed to go and do as an adult. Like sleeping in a zoo at night, it's a day to a 14-year-old. To an adult, it's like, I'm sleeping in a zoo right now. Like, that's...
Yeah.
I think it would creep me out a little bit.
It was weird. Honestly, so we did that, and we did a couple other stops at this summer camp that I got a chance to go to. And, again, like, 14-year-olds don't appreciate stuff. To me, it sucked because there was a lot of spiders in the tent. And like to a 14-year-old, that's what you're thinking. You're like, this sucks. There's spiders crawling on my legs as I'm trying to sleep. To an adult, you get to sleep in a zoo. Like who else
With
gets
spiders?
to do
Yeah, you just never happening.
that? That's where Erica chimes in. Is nope, no spiders for me. I'll sit back here now.
I do have a question. What's your favorite animal?
Not okay. So not that he's transported, but just in general.
Yeah, just in general. Yeah.
As a species, sloths.
I love it.
That seems like a Steve animal.
I love sloths. I really do.
What about them?
They're just so unique. Like, what mammal hangs upside down its entire life? Well, other than bats, but the bats also have wings. And, believe it or not, sloths are very good swimmers. Who would have thought?
So my father lived in Costa Rica for about 10 years. My uncle owned a resort down there. I think he sold it now. And there's like this stereotypical sloth photo hanging upside down that every resort uses to say, hey, you can go on these adventure tours and see sloths. And it was taken in Manuel Antonio Beach or Manuel Antonio, whatever it is, park, where the animals are. And they're really cool. We walked through there. And I mean, that picture already existed at this point, but walking through there, you're almost guaranteed to see a few. And it's like, where's Waldo? You're walking through these walking trails and trying to find them hanging from these trees, and they're pretty cool creatures.
A lot of wild sloths actually have a green tinge to them from the rain and the moisture having algae grow on them, right?
Yep.
So
just from being there and sitting still,
Just from not moving.
and the fact that they move 1 mile. God knows how long it takes them to go a mile.
That's amazing.
So Erica's about to learn a lesson in podcasting.
Uh-oh.
When you ask a question, people are allowed to turn that question back around on you unexpectedly. If you had the opportunity, so let's say Steve called you and he said, you know what, I got to transport an animal next week. I need someone to go with me, come with me. Before he tells you what animal it is, what's going through your head, what is the one animal you want him to say he's about to take you to transport?
Oh, I wanted to be part of the snow leopard transport.
Okay, well, that's done. They're at their new home. They're comfy.
Pick another animal.
Yeah.
It's not allowed.
Yeah.
I would go with monkeys. I like monkeys, and I feel like they would be fun.
I feel like they would be fun to you as the passenger.
Yeah.
Not so much to the person that has to transport them.
They would be caged. Like, they can't get to you, but I feel like monkeys would be fun. I've always wanted to own a squirrel monkey.
That smell his wife was not a fan of. I feel like you were going to get that smell.
Yeah, you would get that smell.
Yeah, that's true. Never thought about
Monkeys
the smell.
are, for the most part, they can be nasty.
Oh.
And they carry all kinds of wonderful zoonotic diseases. There's the word for the day, which are diseases that pass between animals and humans.
Oh, well, Steve
Like
just took the fun
coronavirus.
right out of it.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But back when I first started at the zoo, we used to have this spider monkey, she weighed 15 pounds. And she had lost her mate, and she was all by herself. We weren't going to replace spider monkeys at the time, and we started letting her out of her cage every morning in the monkey house and let her run around and next thing you know, within a couple of months, she was riding around on our shoulders. She'd sit in the counter while we're prepping diets and stuff. She's by far the absolute most favorite animal I have ever worked with.
We've all heard of these celebrities and rich people owning them. They're illegal to own a monkey in Canada, right?
Yes.
But
is
it a cool pet? Aside from it being illegal, if it wasn't, is it a cool pet to have, or did these celebrities just make it look cool?
They just make it look cool. Yeah. Like they probably have their little team of handlers behind the scenes, and the only time the celebrity would ever probably engage with it,
for a photo.
Yeah.
So I'm going to back up. You used a word that described diseases that can transfer from humans to animals and vice versa.
Yep.
What was the word?
Zoonotic.
Okay, so we have to tone this down for our listeners.
Yep.
We can't use big words that nobody understands.
You have to tone it down for the producer. I'm watching over here, buddy.
So, but it does bring up a point. You weren't just there shoveling crap and feeding animals and making sure the cages were together. You have a lot of education that went into your career, both at the zoo and then also now ZooCon. What's the list of credentials that you've acquired over the years?
Basically, I'm a veterinary technician, and I was hired at the zoo in 1989 to be the first full-time veterinary technician that they ever had. They had contracted veterinarians, and they still do because there's not enough
So you were a veterinarian technician at the point you started.
Yes.
And then I'm sure you've continued to learn, train.
And, every year I would go to conferences and stuff like that. And then when I became management, I went to more conferences. And
so we almost called you. I don't know if Erica did reach out to you or not. So you were in Bridgenorth 2 nights ago. Mm-hmm. And I won't get too personal, but you were looking at a home in Bridgenorth.
Oh, yes, right.
And
I was trying to remember why I was in Bridgenorth.
Yeah. How old are you still? So you were in Bridgenorth, and actually, you know Brock well.
Yep.
He's one of the owners here at Y Drive, and he actually had a medical emergency. And so he's dealing with that right now. I won't get too personal, but the issue we're having with the animals in your car, or monkeys if you put them in your car, he can't do that right now. So we're he gives us a call, panicking, in a lot of pain, and so we're on our way to Bridgenorth to pick him up, take him to the hospital. And you're kind of become Erica's go-to for medical advice.
But for animal medical.
No, that's not true. That is not true at all. There was some kidney stone conversations. There was some kid rash conversations. Is there a lot of the experience you've gained? And I know you can't sit here and say I'm a doctor, but
because I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not a veterinarian and I'm not a medical doctor. So,
but is there a lot of crossover between caring medically for animals in zoos to people? Like, have you learned? Do you feel like you know more than the average person when it comes to taking care of yourself and taking care of other people?
I wouldn't say I know. Well, it all depends on what you mean by that. Like, that's a pretty broad question, right? I know a little bit about a lot of things, right?
Yep.
When it comes to, pretty much when it comes to animals.
Yep.
Humans are most commonly are very similar to obviously primates, monkeys, right? But we're also very closely related anatomically and physiologically to pigs, believe it or not.
Yes. Yeah. No, yeah. I've heard that. Yeah.
They use pig valves in heart surgery in humans and stuff like that.
I feel like you're calling me out in the room right now, but
direct eye contact.
Exactly, just staring right at me. So Erica is joining us for the first podcast, so it's only fair that we bring her further into the conversation. It's a new experience for her. So I'm going to start off by pointing out we brought Erica into the Steve Thexton podcast because it's been well documented that Steve is your favorite driver out of 47. Are you willing to put that on the record?
Uh-oh.
How many drivers listen?
Oh, she's trying to give you a high five.
There it is.
She now has 46 drivers that hate her.
I never confirmed or denied anything.
That's right.
I think I'll go out on a limb and I'll let Erica answer this, but I think it comes from you've had employees over the years. You've taken care of a lot of responsibility. You've dealt with headaches, and I'll go out on a limb and say that you caused the least of most of the drivers, and I think that's why she refers to you.
Not necessarily. No? I have my moments.
I get a lot of phone calls from Steve.
Yeah. But, well, see, it's all stuff that you unless you're recording me illegally.
Yeah. I see. My thing with Steve, and I think moving forward, and so I'm not picking on only Steve. I think moving forward, we keep it sub 40 years old. I actually forgot to ask Steve if he needed a pee break before we started the podcast.
And I actually forgot to ask if I could have one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. This is gonna be the shortest podcast we've done yet, just because
Steve's gonna be going.
The old guy's got to go pee.
Yeah,
he did. He does. Him and Mike do take.
Mike's not even here. That was ruthless.
I'm watching him on dispatch right now. Actually,
is he gray for a pee break?
Probably, he is gray.
Or
right
a code
now.
brown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do take a lot of code browns and code yellows during the day.
So that came up in conversation earlier. So we'll go back to the Y Drive side of things. Why suddenly? And it's not you. It's all drivers. Because when somebody does something, everyone else follows suit.
Yep.
Why suddenly do drivers have to go gray to go pee? Or when we say go gray, it means they're unavailable to accept a ride, to go pee, to buy coffee, to get gas, but specifically to go pee. Is it a long adventure? Like what's?
Well, the older you get, the longer the adventure is,
Yeah.
and that's just to get into the washroom. That's not even to Pee.
I watch Steve. He doesn't pee just anywhere. He goes home.
I try to go home.
But you're really central. I'm not going to obviously give away where
Right.
you live, but you're very central. You're
Especially,
always close to home.
You know, I in the beginning it was pretty good because all the Tim Hortons you could at least go in and go pee, right? And now they rotate as to whether the storefront's open or not.
I love that we're talking about pee right now.
I'm just glad that we're sticking to that variation of the word.
Yeah.
She'd throw something at me if I switched it up right now. I actually had, when COVID first started, I bought a Sea-Doo out of, I can't remember which city, Chatham, out of Chatham. So quite a drive.
Yep.
And so I grabbed a couple energy drinks, threw them in the truck, had to drive down to buy the Sea-Doo and trailer. And it was like at the start of COVID, I forgot all about the fact you couldn't go in places. And I'm not like driving back roads in the middle of nowhere. I'm on the 401. I can't just pull over and start going pee on the side of the road. Right. And it was an adventure. It was, I realized that day that we take bathrooms for granted. We'll get off the pee conversation for. Is that when we have to check off that box? So far, we haven't sworn today.
Not yet.
No. Do we have to check it off for pee? Is that an acceptable?
I don't
word?
think pee talk is a box we have to check. No.
I think because we're saying pee. It might be
right.
Okay.
Probably good.
What word can't we say?
Don't do it.
I don't. No, you can say piss. You're allowed to.
Not in her world, you can't.
Or you just don't like it?
Yeah.
It's like a trigger word.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a few of them. You want to hear them? No,
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Oh God.
Earlier in the office, they were trying to find different words to use for moist that wouldn't aggravate people.
Because people you don't say moist cupcake. What are you going to say? Damp?
Damp, yeah.
You want a damp cupcake?
Damp doesn't sound very good.
No.
No, I'd rather a moist cupcake.
Moist sounds yummy.
Yeah.
Everyone is officially tuned out.
Remember when I got in trouble for saying yummy?
Yeah, no, I don't know what the variation would be for that. I don't have a thesaurus handy. I haven't had a thesaurus since I was in grade 8, but yeah, I don't know what else you'd use. But there was a few words we tried to find variations for today.
I'm thinking way too hard. My
vocabulary
is not
killed
that
the
big.
entire flow right there because now my brain's just like, what is another word?
This is like
to
too
use?
much work. So,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pulling out this.
here she goes.
thesaurus.
Oh wow, you shouldn't have left a computer in front of her. Why were you staring at dispatch? We have a dispatcher on right now.
I'm addicted.
Are you just a workaholic?
Yes.
Willingly,
No.
without complaining.
No.
Oh, I tried to trap her right there. I was gonna.
No.
We have buttons on our production board that we can take recordings and replay, and I wanted her to say that she loves to work. It'd work really well.
You'll never get that.
We started another company. I think Steve knows what it is, but we're not going to say it on air yet. We're going to keep it a close guarded secret till probably next week. But she's not excited. All she sees is the amount of hours she's going to have to put into this, and it's.
These words are ridiculous. So you could use damp or humid. You want a humid cupcake?
Would you like a humid towelette?
Why is cupcake the
I don't know.
prime example, like in a spelling bee, use it in a sentence? Why is it cupcake?
Because that's what Joel and I were using earlier. So I just
Did you guys have
continued it.
cupcakes?
No.
Okay, good.
Drippy?
I wanted cupcake.
And everybody likes a moist cupcake.
Yeah,
but,
right? Like that's why I picked that.
I can't see myself.
You want a dry one?
Well, I don't want a dry one, but I don't think I
you
want
wanna-
one that's referred to as a damp cupcake.
Do you want a drippy one?
But you'd rather a damp towel than a moist towel.
Why would I want a damp towel?
Well,
even?
To me,
That's why husbands don't have wives on podcasts.
to me, moist is a little damper than damp.
I feel like you can use moist for food related.
Well,
words,
yes, but you wouldn't
not-
use damp as a food related.
If you guys hadn't used cupcake as the example, I would think of moist as something that's wet enough you could wring it out. Damp is something that's wet to the touch.
So it's damp before you wring it out. And then it
She's
becomes
really
moist.
missing the pee conversation right now. Like
Yeah,
she's
Go back to that.
Oozy is another.
Oozy.
An oozy cupcake. Well, the fruit explosions at Tim Hortons.
Are oozy?
Do we have to charge them for promo now?
They ooze.
Well, look at Boston creams, right? They really ooze.
Oh,
They ooze like a big pussy abscess.
Oh my god!
That's what happens when you bring
There's
a vet
the
tech on.
Dampish.
I was gonna say something now. My brain's just fried.
It's gone.
So what's the difference between a zoo and a sanctuary?
Oh, he just right. Oh no, back up.
Sanctuaries are normally not open to the public.
Okay, I was half
Whereas
joking.
zoological garden,
Oh.
but there is a difference.
You can visit bird sanctuaries and stuff, though, right?
Yeah, well, yes, and normally they're usually found within provincial parks or national
So this
parks.
is what it's like to watch Erica correct somebody's
No,
terminology.
I was asking a question.
But a wildlife sanctuary is usually referred to as a rehab center, at least in Ontario and in most of Canada. But
Did you know that Jesse, our new driver, not new now, but new compared to you? You've been here since the start.
Yep.
You got your fancy starting 10 jacket hanging on the chair there.
I do.
Did you know that Jesse rehabbed a monkey?
Really?
A raccoon.
Oh,
Oh, a
sorry.
raccoon.
Wow, I was monkey on the brain. Raccoon. But it was through a program, wasn't it?
I don't know. He
I don't-
just
I
has
don't-
it as his Facebook profile
Yeah,
picture,
I
so
don't
I was like,
think. Now
do
we
you
got to
have a
bring
pet
Jesse on to
raccoon?
answer this question.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Should I call him?
No, I'm Bluetooth to the board, but
No, he's driving.
I think it was like an actual fostering type situation.
Yeah.
I
he
have heard of
fostered.
that
Yeah.
because most rehab centers, a lot of them won't even take raccoons anymore just because of the time and energy and the fact that there's
Am I allowed to hate them?
3.4 million raccoons in the province
Yeah,
of
like
Ontario.
we're not short on them. We had 4 in our house when we lived out towards
Oh,
Buckhorn.
God. They used to open the window and come in through our kitchen.
We couldn't do anything about it. We then screwed the window shut. And it was to the point where we were at war with these things. We'd screw the window shut. They'd open doors.
Oh, they get into everything.
No, we'd
really
come home.
do.
They were in our house. We had to throw out our couch. They ate
they-
my lasagna one day.
they
They
flea
opened the fridge
infested
and
our
took
couch.
a lasagna out of the fridge. I was really bad. Erica
I'd
was
be-
working late
I'd
that
be
day, and
really
I went
mad
home to eat
too.
my lasagna. But Liam was 3 years old at the time, and we were
God, they could have taken him hostage.
you hear a noise in the middle of the night, so they only actually ever ended up coming in when we weren't home. They are smart enough to do that. But we hear a noise in the middle of the night after coming home to raccoons in your house earlier, having to chase them out, spend 2 hours cleaning, and then you go to sleep and you start hearing something. I mean, it's not a pleasant experience. I don't want to be trapped in my bedroom with raccoons in the hallway.
You don't.
Yeah, you get
They're
messed up
mean.
pretty bad.
They
They
are
are
mean.
mean. Yep. and
So we can
people
get
don't
rid of the
realize.
raccoons.
But they're so cute.
So
They are cute.
should we hold it against Jesse that he helped this raccoon? That raccoon has now gone on to make raccoon babies.
Well, hopefully it's in another part of the province.
Well, it was cute. It's a cute little raccoon.
They are cute when they're little,
Yep.
but they are very destructive when they become adults.
Oh, and they can get into anything.
Yeah, they can. They're masters of
Do they have thumbs?
D&E. Do they have what?
Thumbs?
No, they have paws like they've got
They have fingers.
finger-ish, but
But they don't. They're not like opposable thumb.
No, I think it's just us and
no,
primates,
because
right?
they're a carnivore, so they're related to dogs and cats and weasels and blah blah blah.
Steve, stop moving away from them.
Primate is pretty much
sorry.
the definition of thumbs, right? So like monkeys, apes.
Right.
us. Yeah.
We have opposable thumbs,
Yeah.
right?
I've watched a lot of TV. That's
Where
how I do
spider monkeys don't have thumbs at all.
it. Really?
Spider monkey species do
I guess
not have thumbs.
because their fingers are so long, though, is how they grab things.
Well, and that's part of it. The other part is the fact that their tail is so prehensile. It's really like a thumb. It can pick up anything.
Really?
Yeah. Spider
What was that word?
What does
Prehensile.
prehensile mean?
Yeah, can
means
you stop this?
Sorry,
You're too smart
it's
for
the
us.
zoo guy in me.
Yeah. Starting to see why you
Okay,
weren't the
now
tour
come
guide.
on now. If I talked to Liam, I'm quite sure he would know what prehensile meant.
Oh, you guys had some. You and Joel have now driven Liam, and you guys had some interesting talks. He's learned a lot from you and Joel.
Liam is our 7-year-old
Yes,
son.
7-year-old son. He has an office here, and
I hope they're good things that
Yeah.
we've taught him.
Well,
and he gets defensive. So like Erica's like, I heard you had Steve's snack. He's like, he gave it to me. And did you actually give him your snack?
Yeah.
I wouldn't try to take your snack.
Well, he said, when I picked him up, he said, can I go in the house and get a snack first? And I said, no, I've got one in the car. Shut up and get in.
there's Jesse's raccoon.
Oh,
Former, he
okay.
doesn't have it anymore.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
But now you got to send that photo to Matt so you can put it on the YouTube video.
I can do that. That's not.
It's on his Facebook. It's his profile, so
I don't know Jesse.
And he's got
he's not my friend, so it's visible. It's public.
and he's got to cut me out of saying that now so that it doesn't sound like I'm bossing him around.
That's okay.
He's used to it.
Yeah.
The trick is you can boss Matty around if you buy him dinner.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or
I'm just thinking
or
now-
if you pay for his dinner because he just leaves.
My brain is just stuck on Liam saying, "My parents own the company. Get me a snack." Like while he's in the car, can we stop at McDonald's? Like,
Well, Joel said something earlier, and Eric is like, he did not say that. What was it that Joel? It was just Joel saying.
he
it.
asked Joel to grow corn for him on Farming
Right.
Simulator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my parents pay you. You can grow my corn.
Yeah, she's like, he did not actually say that.
That's
But
my boy.
he did tell Joel that he was allowed to play his Farming Simulator game in the office if he gets bored.
Yeah.
Because he needs more corn. So he pretty much told Joel, "You work for me now. Go grow corn for my imaginary animals."
My video game
Yeah.
farm.
What are you looking up there, Steve?
I'm trying to find a picture of Jezzy, the spider monkey.
Huh.
Jesse?
Jizzy.
Jezebel.
Okay, that's a weird
Jezzy.
short form.
Yeah.
You don't have to hide your laughing. You're on camera, Erica.
I thought he said Jizzy.
That's
No.
what he said, Jizzy.
I did not. Jezzy.
Did
J-E-Z-Z-Y.
anyone else hear Jezzy or Jizzy?
I heard Jizzy.
I
I
heard
heard Jizzy.
Jizzy, and that's why I was like,
I
what?
am a 12-year-old in a man's body.
Yeah.
Now. So
Apparently so am I.
Speaking of, while he's looking up some Jizzy on his phone.
Some Jizzy.
no.
Isn't that nice?
Speaking of it, you have this is totally unrelated. You have a bench at the zoo now.
I do.
You didn't
Yeah.
put it where you were supposed to, though.
That was inappropriate. You cannot say that on air.
Yeah.
Where
Well, it's-
is the bench? I haven't been back
It's
since Pinnacle.
actually right up by the squirrel monkey exhibit.
So if anyone wants to go sit on your bench, squirrel
They
monkeys.
can once the zoo opens back up because
is it closed right now?
It's closed because
I
of
wouldn't know.
COVID.
It's really cold.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go look.
I
Animals-
don't go outside a lot either.
I don't look at my own dogs outside in this kind of cold. It is very for someone listening to this in July. It is really cold outside right now.
Because it's January.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
it
do you
is.
did you get the exhibit or your bench put by that exhibit on purpose? Like, did you get to
there's
choose
a-
where it was?
There was a ceremony and everything.
Well, there wasn't really a ceremony.
You went off. You left work for a ceremony.
Yeah, well, I left work that day for Joanne and I to go up and pick up to pick the spot where the bench was going to go.
I thought you were going to say pick up the bench. I'm like, they made you pick up your own
No.
bench?
They delivered it to my house at my retirement party,
Oh, really?
and then came and picked it up afterwards.
So it has a
Picked up.
plaque with your name or
It's got
something?
a plaque with my name on it. Yeah.
Right on. Starting 10 edition, like your jacket.
Yeah, maybe not the starting 10.
Not
but
as special. Not as
No, it's
special.
not, no.
Actually, we were in.
We love you more.
We were in at the Capitol. Free shout out for Mark. We're going to start charging him soon. It's the new sports apparel store up the road. And he saw my jacket and he said when those become worth something, he wants to buy one of them so he can put it on the wall. So if you ever get sick of that jacket, I think right now the starting bid is $6. And he will buy that off you to put it on the wall in the Capitol store downtown Peterborough. Any other questions, Erica? This is your debut. It can be for me. It can be for Steve. It can be for Matty.
The pressure. No.
I know that's why I did that. It's really hard to answer a question when someone does that.
Yeah, that was rude.
I have one.
Yep.
Okay.
So I worked back in the day at Marineland. Boo. I know.
Whoa.
I know.
Whoa.
I'm
We
the
should have
bad
put you
guy.
guys on opposite sides of the
Listen,
table.
I fed the whales. I was the good guy there.
You know what? When I was a
for
kid,
you,
I
little
thought
for me.
Marineland was the cat's ass, right? But
Yeah, I worked there. They paid me $16 an hour, and I worked in air conditioning.
Yeah.
It was great. But whenever they had to move animals, it was always middle of the night. Is that always the case?
No.
No. Just kind of depends. I guess,
In my
scenario.
opinion, when that's happening, there's
Something going on.
something.
Sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a little-
probably.
a little
Based
sketchy.
on where I worked.
And I've picked up animals at other institutions like at 6 o'clock in the morning because I've got a 14-hour drive ahead of me, but not to move animals in the middle of the night.
Like Free Willy style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about that the other day. Matt was telling me about his Marineland experience, and it was news to him that's how they actually moved whales, was to basically put a sling under them
Yep.
and lift them up. And I
had no
couldn't
clue.
I couldn't believe it. He showed his age because Free Willy taught us all that.
Yeah,
like
right.
we all knew how whales were moved.
Yep.
When did Free Willy come out? Like
Probably
show our age
92 ish.
Yeah, I would
I was
say.
born in '96.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
God.
before me. Yeah, sorry.
So that generation.
Yeah, I had no idea how you moved a whale. I saw it one day, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. I don't know how I thought it was
I
done.
bet you 90% of the people, unless they, like you say, saw Free Willy,
Yep.
would have no idea.
Well, no, like how do you pick up a whale? Like
I don't know. For some reason, I thought it swam into the truck somehow. Just so stupid.
I was about to phrase it wrong. I was about to say I like when you see the whale beached, but I don't like that. That's obviously cruel. But what I was trying to say is I don't even know how to say this now. I can't say I get a kick out of or
you talk yourself into a corner.
Yeah, I talk myself into a really corner.
Recover from this.
But I find it odd when you get 30 people on a beach that feel like they can push this whale back into the ocean. Like, you're not pushing a whale.
Yeah, no,
not on ground. Did you? You've never worked at like a aquatic?
I've never worked with marine mammals.
So Matt should have been our guest.
Yeah,
today.
he really should have.
I sorted fish, and that was about it. I got to feed whales at the end of the day if I had a good shift.
He worked with Can Do.
Can Do. Oh, is that the whale name?
That was the original whale at Marineland.
Yeah, it was only, I think Kisco was the one when I was there, like the one that's still there. But
I think
so.
it was down in Florida.
If you go to SeaWorld, right, any of the SeaWorld parks down the States, usually one of the whales that is doing the show is called Shamu.
Because they keep replacing it with a new one.
Right.
Yeah.
And they rotate their stock because they have to.
We do that with our kids' guinea pigs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not to that extent.
We haven't had to do that yet. Actually, that was one of my
Erica
questions.
is not aware.
I hope Liam's not listening to this.
Right?
He's not one of our 3 listeners.
But there's always a Shamu in the show because Shamu is their big name, right?
Yeah.
And
it
could be Billy that's actually out there performing and.
Well, and it made me wonder. So there was, I don't remember the details, but I remember falling in the wormhole of YouTube talking about killer whales in captivity and stuff like that. And there was the one, like, there's been a few instances, but there was the one that was essentially getting known for killing people. Like, he had taken like 2 or 3 trainers' lives. Yeah. And I was like, did they really get rid of him, or did they just move him to another park and give him a different name? And
well, that's the one Blackfish was based off of. Tillicum, I think.
Right, yeah.
What? And who now?
Tillicum was his name.
Was
the
his
documentary
name.
Blackfish. It was based on him. Yeah.
Okay,
Tillicum.
we're just going to skate right over that one. Let's continue on. What a name.
I didn't name him.
Yeah. But a movie, I'm assuming, or something? I've never seen it.
It's like a documentary.
Yeah, it's on whales in captivity.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I was just watching videos of whales attacking people on YouTube.
Yeah.
That seemed more interesting.
You work hard here.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't during work hours.
That was his prep work for today's interview.
Exactly. Animals attacking zookeepers.
Yeah, animals attacking. That's happened a lot.
Have you ever been attacked?
But
have you ever been in a tiger cage with a cane shooting at a tiger?
No.
Okay, so no.
I've never been in a cage with a tiger.
That seems stupid.
Yeah.
To do it, not to not do it. Yeah.
And accredited zoos, that doesn't happen, right? They have buildings to shift the animals off, and
I'm sure it was unaccredited.
Wait.
What?
Have you ever been attacked?
Have I ever been attacked? Yes,
By
I
an
have.
animal?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Drunk
I was. We were doing a procedure on an otter once, and it woke up, and we had a high school co-op student.
Oh no.
On the other side of the table.
So you took the bullet.
And I took the bullet. Yes. And that young lady's mother was very, very thankful because he was heading right for her face.
Oh, geez.
How bad?
I had. It's hard to see now, but I had a big chunk of meat
bad.
taken. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like
it took
emergency
bad.
bad.
It took like 6 months for it to granulate in, right? Because there was nothing to sew together or anything.
Oh, okay.
Like he just took a big chunk of me. Yeah.
So otters, don't mess with them.
Yeah.
Raccoons versus otters.
Well, same family almost.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting. I went to. I'm sure it was unaccredited, but I went to, and I don't remember the details. It was around Muskoka. Because that's where we lived, and I remember not driving long. It was Siberian tigers, like white tigers, and I remember seeing those as a kid. And what blows my mind now, looking back on it, it was just one chain link fence. Like, it wasn't double layered. There was no pit, any of the stuff you see in zoos nowadays. It was one chain link fence, and I was standing on one side, and these Siberian tigers. And looking back, that I'd rather be an adult and go visit the zoo at night than go do that. It seemed very dumb. But all right, so you got anything else, Erica?
Nope, I'm good.
As you're staring at your computer and your phone, and
Sorry, I'm dispatching.
we have a dispatcher.
I know.
We don't pay this dispatcher, but he should still be doing the job.
It was a text message ride request.
So the good thing is that we are so devoted to Y Drive that she can't stop working for 45 minutes. 49 minutes and 16 seconds.
You deserve my full attention. I apologize, Steve.
Oh, that's okay.
This is the kind of thing that happens every day between the two of them.
It is.
Yeah. People have commonly said that you and I banter. You two banter.
I'm Steve's work wife, apparently.
I don't know if his wife would agree with that.
His wife calls me his work wife.
Yeah, and my old boss at the zoo, he was my first wife. So
I'm waiting for the day that your two wives meet.
Steve said we're not allowed to meet.
they're never allowed to meet.
Yeah, Steve applied for, I don't remember the exact application, but when you joined the team, it was because you wanted to pass a few hours, a couple days a week.
Yep, that's right. 3 to 4 hours, 2 to 3 days a week.
I don't think you did less than 60 hours for the first 4 or 5 months.
His wife hated me.
Yeah. And then she finally said, the lawn needs to get cut. These troughs are full.
Yeah.
You need to take a day
and
off.
I want my Jeep back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the number one. That was the first one.
And then you went and had an animal crap in it.
Yep, that's right.
I noticed I said crap, so we still don't have to hit that tick on YouTube.
Oh, we lost that at Boston Cream a while ago.
I got cut off on that one. I had a question. Does anyone else feel like that's a challenge in life? Like if over the course of 12 months you had 10 Boston Creams, you're going to remember to face it the right way 9 times. And that 10th time, you're going to totally forget and it's going to end up all over the dashboard.
What's the right way?
You got to take your first bite has to be the hole.
The hole.
When you're eating a Boston Cream.
Just put your finger over it?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I've got a lot I could say, but I won't say a word.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's not going to be the reason we get kicked off of these, these networks. But I feel like it's a challenge. I feel like every 6 months or so I have a Boston Cream and go, I screwed that one up.
That is a first world problem.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ate my Boston Cream the wrong way.
I couldn't tell you the last time I had a Boston Cream. I might have to leave here and go to Tim Hortons and buy one.
My biggest regret as an adult is learning that buying a sprinkled donut while in the car is stupid. Like,
Giving it
as
to
an
your
adult, you
child.
can never justify the mess it's going to make.
It's okay to give it to your kids, but
Not in the car.
not in the car.
No, our kid
No,
got
actually,
the
he
eating in
makes-
the car ban a while ago
He makes sure he gets every one of those sprinkles.
because he's not supposed to be eating in the car, and you just ratted him out.
I don't give him anything in the car. What are you talking about?
So if you get into a Y drive, specifically one of ours, and there's sprinkles in the back seat, you can blame Erica. So anyway, I can see you're ready for a what is it? G4 PB, a gray
Yeah.
for P break.
Yep.
So we'll let you go here. Thank you so much for coming in.
You are welcome.
You have such an interesting business that we had to get you on here to talk about it. I mean, it's great to get restaurant owners and store owners and service providers and stuff, but who else can say that their retirement career is driving around exotic animals throughout the country? So yeah, I definitely had to hear a little bit about it, some of the experience, and yeah, continue on. I want to hear the stories as you go over the years.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for Erica for coming on today and correcting us a few times and dispatching, and we'd love to have you back in about 6 or 8 months.
Perfect.